Good morning, everybody. I hope that everyone can hear me this morning. If you would please let me know if you can. So, this is my first time doing a live. I am doing it from here in Texas, and I'm glad that you guys have joined me today. We are going to talk a little bit today about saving money with only a few days left in the month if you're struggling. I am working this morning to make a list of all of the different meals that I have here in the camper. And I have already come up with 31 meals that I can make just from stuff that I have here in the camper. So I thought that was pretty good. My goal this week and this month is to try to save money to get ahead with Christmas coming up this next year and knowing I'm not going to have a job. I know that's thinking quite a bit ahead of time, but I feel like I need to start early. So I'm going to be working on that this next year, trying to build up some cash reserves in addition to what I already have to try to be able to get through Christmas very easily this next year. And I feel like this is a really good opportunity for me to save some money while I'm down here because my husband isn't here right now, as many of you know, and he eats meat. I can go without it. So I can get by on a lot of things that would be more expensive if he was here with me. So I'm excited about that. All right. Well, good morning, everyone. It's nice to see you all on here. Oh, British Columbia, Canada. Hi, Sandra. Yeah, it's so good to see you guys. I was worried about the internet signal down here. I'm sandwiched between some other houses and trailers, and I wasn't sure how good of a signal I would get or if I would be buffering. So this is exciting. Good morning. Good morning, Sherry, Wanda. Good morning, Barb. Good morning, Cynthia. Good morning, Rex Care Bear. So yeah, I started off and I was going to share some of those things with you. Now, sometimes when we just have a few days left in the month, maybe we're struggling if we're on a low income, if we're on a fixed income. And as I've talked about before, it's it's not hard to make simple meals. In this day and age, we are so used to having like a really nice meal. And I think a lot of that comes from eating out and going to restaurants. Um, we get kind of used to that being the norm rather than going back to some of those simple meals. So just making like macaroni and cheese, I could do that for probably 6 meals this month. I could make it homemade. I could make it out of the box. I could do several of those things. We have a carry-in dinner coming up. I have fresh tomatoes. I'm going to saute those up, add some spices, put it over pasta, and just make kind of a tomato-based oil pasta that I'm going to take for the carry-in. That won't be very expensive, but it's very good. I've made it at home before. So just little things like that can really stretch our dollar the last few the last few days of the month. Oh, Cynthia's making breakfast tacos. I have tortillas. So that's one of the things I have on my list is to be able to make like some egg sandwiches, some egg and potato roll-ups. Those are things that are really cheap if you already have some of that on hand. I brought my tortillas from Aldi. I brought a lot of things from Aldi because I knew there wasn't an Aldi down here. And I'm going to be using up that stuff primarily this next month. And of course, we're in a leap year, so that's an extra day this next month. My husband will be coming down to join me in February for several days, and I do have some meat froze in the freezer already for the days that he's here. I also have down things like blueberry pancakes. I brought my frozen blueberries. I have pancake mix, another really cheap meal. Sometimes I will even make just like a pancake like that in the evening just for a snack if I get hungry. Having that blueberry in there makes it feel like it's a treat, even though it's something super cheap and easy. Sandra's having steel cut oats with a tablespoon of plum pudding in it for breakfast this week. Yum. I've seen some recipes that actually have like plum baby food mixed in for flavoring in some of the old recipes from like the Depression era cookbooks from the family. So that is interesting. Yes, I do use eggs, Sherry. I I have a dozen that I brought with me from home. I haven't really priced the eggs since I've been down here. I probably should do that. I was more fixated on pricing the milk. I thought the milk was so expensive. I guess I forgot to look at the eggs because milk's almost $4 a gallon down here. And I was able to find a small Walmart neighborhood market that's about 4 miles from here, which is weird for me because 4 miles where I live is 4 minutes, and we time everything in driving by minutes. But down here, 4 miles is 13 minutes one way because it's a city. So 13 minutes one way, 13 minutes back, and I was able to find milk cheaper there. It's about 3.30 a gallon at Walmart, and I went ahead and was able to pick up bread and sliced cheese and mayonnaise. I thought I had mayonnaise in the camper, and I didn't. Eggs are on sale this week for $1.49 for 18. That is fantastic. I can almost guarantee I'm not going to find great prices on eggs down here. I'm really surprised how much everything costs. I am planning on walking through one of the Hispanic markets. There's one of those that's really close by. And in my experience from home, sometimes I can find things at a lot better price there. So I don't need anything right now that I have my milk and my bread and the few things that I was lacking. So that's really good because now I have everything I need and I'm making this list and I'm feeling really confident going into February that I won't have to spend hardly anything on food unless I need more fresh milk or something. I do drink a lot of milk. My husband doesn't drink milk really. So I can go through a gallon of milk myself in a week or so. And even if I don't, I find that the date lasts so much longer than what it says. Around Christmas time, since we had my grandson at home and we had my son there and we had several people when we were baking, my husband brought home a gallon of milk one day. Well, he didn't look at the date and he brought it home at Christmas and it said January 2nd. Well, we were already drinking one that said January 8th in the fridge. So the one he bought was like a week older than the one we were already using. And I didn't open it and I just kept it in the back of the fridge and we used up the one from the 8th. And then when we opened it, it was still good. In fact, I brought it with me down here to Texas and finished drinking the entire thing and it never spoiled the entire time because the lid hadn't been opened. It'd been kept cold. It was in the back of the fridge. I was watching a video on someone yesterday that had written like a big black marker on their foods in the fridge what date they expire. And I remember thinking that doesn't always mean anything. That stuff sometimes will last beyond the date. Sometimes it doesn't make it to the date. So we really have to use our senses. And by doing that, I was able to use that entire gallon of milk and not waste any. I am not missing work at all. That may sound lazy. I don't know. I was a nursing home administrator for most of my career. I worked at a nursing home before that. I worked in offices before that. And then I worked for the Department of Aging and retired. And I am not missing that. I was so ready. I was ready before I even retired to be retired. And that last 2 weeks that I worked just felt like it lasted forever because I've been planning this for like 5 years. So by the time I got down to 2 weeks, I thought this is just gonna fly by. 2 weeks, this is gonna be a piece of cake. And it just drug, and that last 8-hour day was the slowest day on earth. I didn't think that 8 hours was ever gonna get by. So, no, I'm not missing it at all. I am loving it, and I'm like you, I feel so free. It's so nice to not have that stress hanging over me that I have to set my alarm, get up at a certain time, be somewhere. I'm loving it, absolutely loving it. Yeah, he doesn't like milk much. Once in a great while, my husband will eat a bowl of cereal, but he just is not a big milk drinker. Now, when I grew up, our choices were milk that came from the dairy farm or water. Once in a while, we would have like frozen orange juice in the cans and make it into orange juice, but that wasn't something that you could just drink when you wanted to. It was for breakfast, only for breakfast, and you didn't get a huge glass. Like, you didn't sit down and get a big 12-ounce glass. That's back when you got like those little 4-ounce juice glasses that I don't think anyone has in their cabinets anymore. So things were way different back then. So, my dad liked tea. I never learned to drink it till I was an adult. He drank the instant tea, if you can believe it. I don't think instant tea is too great, but I know there's a few people that still drink it because we used to sell it when we ran the grocery store. Do I have a video on how much money I needed to fully retire? I do have one that's really, really old. When I was projecting how much I needed and I was calculating where I needed to be in that. So many people hear that $1 million amount and they think I have to have $1 million to retire. Well, if that was the case, I would never retire. I honestly believe if you want to make something work bad enough, you'll make it happen. And so we don't have anywhere near that amount. But as I've shared in one of my recent videos, we can live at basically a poverty level and still be comfortable. We got used to that. We live very simply. We live with a budget of $21,500 and it's all what you get used to. If you're used to spending a lot more than that, then you're going to need to calculate what you need based on what you spend. And based on what we spend, we we have like less than $100,000 in savings and we're comfortable with that. So, yeah, that sounds crazy to some people, but I only have to make it a few years until Social Security and I'm not worried a bit. Where in South Texas did I get a Frugal RV spot? There's actually a bunch in Texas and in Florida. We were looking at Florida really hard, and we were looking around like mid Florida where we were still close to both beaches on both coasts. And you really can get a spot there for about $400 a month. And it seems like you would have to pay more than that, but most of them are just like $400 with your electricity, and that's it. So, and then if you sign up for a year, some of them will even give you discounts for that. So, yeah, if you start looking in some of those areas or maybe like an hour and a half from the beach, you're going to find some affordable prices. The closer you get to the beach, the more expensive it will be. So, yeah, just check out those 55 and over parks. They have, like where I'm at right now, they have apartments you can rent. I don't know what they cost. They have cabins you can rent. Some of the people rent out their little trailers that are here. And then there's a lot of people like me that brought their RV and they're living in their RV and they're just renting out the spot. One of the reasons I'm so grateful for your channel is the point, as you point out, you don't need $1 million to retire. Your choices every day will build up to the freedom of retirement. And it's true. If you have gotten used to eating out a lot, going shopping a lot, buying a lot of clothes, it really helps to get in that mindset that you have enough, especially at this stage in life. Why would I want to add a ton of stuff to my wardrobe? I don't need it. I would rather have the freedom, and I have so many clothes. Heck, I wouldn't have to buy anything but just basically replace stuff that I've worn out between now and the last of my life. And that sounds a little morbid, but I'm not a big shopper. In fact, I hate shopping. I will make a list of what I have to get and then I watch for it. And then when I can get it, I go in and get it and I get out. I'm not one that likes to walk around and browse, but I have had to replace things. I've actually had to wear some stuff out, and it is exciting when I wear something out. I'm like, wow, I actually got my full use out of this item. And so, yeah, I don't, a lot of those extras we just don't need. We have so much by the point we get to be in our upper 50s. We have so many blankets, we have so many clothes, we have so many everything that we had enough to furnish a camper and a house, and I still need to declutter. Hi, Cynthia. You're from Texas. I think I remember seeing that. So, man, Texas is big, though, isn't it? Um, I think the trick to retirement is to always live below your means. That is true, especially if you want to retire early. To live below your means is definitely the key to being able to retire early. So many people cannot believe that I'm retired at this age, but I'm going into about my 4th month and I'm feeling confident because nothing has changed because we practiced it and we're doing really well. I've hardly had to use any money that I've stuck back. So that feels really good. That makes me know that I can ride it out till 62 because I do plan on drawing at 62. Live below your means. When you have time, you can shop the deals, right? And if you stay stocked up and you only shop the deals, you will never be without anything. You will constantly have that back stock, and then you have time to wait for that next deal. Would you remove money from checking account that is not spent and place it in a savings account or a CD? I've had money in a CD before. I had it in a 5-year CD, and I had such little interest coming from that, and it was tied up for a full 5 years that when it rolled around, I checked money market prices, which is like another type of checking account slash savings account, and I moved it to a money market. And we are making 3 times as much as we were making before. So that way I have access to it. I'm making more in interest and my money's not locked down. I'm just one of those people, since I don't have a ton of investments, I want to have access to my money at any given time if I need it. I want to have that flexibility. And so I have it in a money market. I'm only allowed to take money out like 6 times a month. We have never, ever had 6 transactions a month. The most we've ever had at any time was like 2. So 6 withdrawals a month is more than what we need. So it just sits there and draws interest. That number makes it more possible for us. Thank you. You bet. I want to be honest with you guys. A lot of people would say she's crazy. She doesn't even have $100,000 in her account. But with what we spend per year, that's 5 years. And in 4 years, I can get Social Security. And in 4 years, what I've drawn during my lifetime is going to give me a decent amount, and I can live on that too because I've already projected it. Okay, Dora, I've never been a spender and I was raised to be a saver. I'm not someone that ever asks to go shopping. Yeah, that's me. I think long and hard before I spend money. For many people, They would say, "Why do you live like that?" Well, because it's security. I don't want to buy a bunch of stuff I don't need. At this age, we all have houses full of that, don't we? So going shopping and buying extra pretty throw pillows or whatever, to me, that's just like throwing money out the window of my car. I'm not interested. I don't think it's morbid at all to consider that you are in the last half of your life when you're buying things that will last long. Yeah, when I had to buy a refrigerator, I figured 15 years max. Well, good. I'm glad because I do think like that. I think, I'm writing out like the last chapter of my life here, and I already have tons of dress clothes because of the jobs I've had. I've got tons of dress shoes. I shouldn't need to buy anything for like weddings, funerals, church, dress up events. I've got lots of stuff to pick from. And since I have changed sizes, I have things in a lot of different sizes too. And I feel really weird because going forward this year, I'm trying to lose weight. And at the time that I left Kansas, I was down 42 pounds, but I don't have a scale with me. And I'm one of those people that weigh every single day to stay on track. So I have no idea where I'm at. But I brought a pair of shorts that were like 2 inches too small with me, just kind of as a go by, because I thought I'm real close to getting those on. I'm going to go ahead and bring them. Well, yesterday I had a day where I just felt fat. And I thought, okay, I feel like I've maybe eaten too much or eaten the wrong foods. I have no way of knowing. I don't have a scale. I'm going to try on those shorts. They fit. Oh my gosh. I was like, okay, well, that was my one thing I brought with me to be able to tell how I was doing, and they fit. So I guess I'm doing okay, even though I don't have a scale. So, what do I do for health insurance? We have physician concierge groups in Kansas, and you can pay like $75 a month each person to have unlimited text with the doctors, unlimited office calls. They will do your own medicine in there. We've had them before. We had them when we ran the store, and it worked really well because there was times we couldn't get away to go to the doctor, and we could do a telehealth video or even text, and they would just treat us. That way we didn't have to go in. So that option is available. I honestly have drugged my feet. I haven't signed back up for that right now. So right now I am without health insurance, but I do plan on signing back up for those. We've talked about it, and that's the route that we're going to go back to. Um, I grew up without health insurance. I spent a lot of my life without health insurance. As a nursing home administrator and working in the nursing home field, they didn't offer 401ks. They didn't offer health insurance most of the time. They didn't offer any of that benefit stuff. It's not like a hospital. Nursing homes, you just don't get offered a lot of that stuff. I think it's changed over the years, and they were offering some of it before I left that I was signed up for. But I've spent more of my life without insurance than with insurance. So I'm not really scared like maybe a lot of people would be because I've spent so much of my life without it. 12 years ago, I ended up disabled and had a reduction in income. Savings rate is crazy high right now. It has gotten better. I know when we switched our money over to a money market, I was shocked that it immediately went up like, 2/3 of what we were getting. And then every month, it's just gotten bigger and bigger, the amount of interest that we're bringing in on that money market. And, now it's up pretty good, and I'm really pleased with that. So yeah, I can tell that it's going up. With money markets, they say they're variable, so they don't really tell you what your interest is. You kind of have to calculate it yourself, or you can call on any given day and find out what the interest is. But it fluctuates with the market, and so I can tell that it is going up. So that is exciting. Yes, Dora, I got that you were saying that you were a widow. Yes. You have your arm in a cast, your house is full. As soon as you bring something home, it's already used. Yeah. Yeah, anything I bring in the house, I try to make sure it has a purpose, it has a place, and that I really need it because I have stuff I still need to get out of there, so I don't wanna bring anything in unless it's necessary. And I have gotten used to now just walking into the kitchen, and all you gotta do is, like, do the dishes, the sweeping, the mopping, maybe wipe some stuff down. Going into the living room, you can actually go in there and sit down and just relax because nothing's cluttered. I remember when the kids were growing up, I had clutter everywhere, and now you can putter around the house and that stuff all has a place, and there's not a lot to do but just upkeep. Oh my gosh, that's so nice. I wish I would have done that sooner. I would love to know more of where to go and how to travel frugally. I will retire this July, but I don't want to feel like I won't be able to go anywhere or do anything. I'm extremely frugal. Michelle, I have been to all 50 states. My husband and I travel and we travel frugally, and it is totally doable. I do share a lot of those tips on here. I have a few videos about traveling dirt cheap. I have lots of tips on here. So it is so possible, stack those rebates, stack those apps for like gas. There's a lot of 55 and over discounts at hotels if you want to stay in a hotel. Airbnbs are cheap. When we went to Florida, we stayed in an older resort area that was really nice, and we went in the off season. That will save you a ton of money, and then you have almost the whole place to yourselves with just a few other people your age because everybody else is at home with their kids in school and they can't travel right now. So there's lots of options to travel frugally once you're retired. Given the high used car prices, would you wait to buy an older Toyota or Honda? When I bought my Hyundai a couple years back, I really had my mindset on a Toyota. Toyotas will just go and go and go and go, like over 300,000 miles, a lot of them will. And I had my mind set that I was going to get one of those because they just don't die. We had a Toyota RV from 86. We sold it for more than we bought it for, and it's still going, and it now lives in Missouri. So Toyotas are great. And like I said, I have a Hyundai, not a Honda, but you're going to want to look at that because even the used Toyotas are they keep their price. So it just depends on how much you want to spend. I ended up spending 15,000 on my Hyundai. It had like 67,000 miles. I think it must have been sitting in someone's garage or they didn't leave the city or something. So I got a really good deal on that. But even so, I would have never spent $15,000 on a used car. That's the most I've ever spent on a used car in my entire life. But used cars cost so much right now. It's crazy. So, just really look at that closely because every time I would look to maybe buy something, I would see if it was a good price that it had a reworked title or it had been wrecked. So really look at that if you're going to buy something used, especially from an individual, on whether or not it has a reworked title if you see something used. A lot of the stuff that I was seeing on Facebook Marketplace here was all reworked titles. Those clothes tell on your size. Yeah, I'm so lost without a scale. I'm one of those people, I just have to weigh every single day to stay on top of my weight. I've always been that way. But I'm trying to make myself walk at least a mile every day. That's kind of hard for me because I have some injuries and stuff, but I'm making myself do it every day. So I'm hoping getting more active down here is going to help me maintain my weight. We bought a used Toyota Prius V and use it to camp in. Yes. And I've shared with you guys, if I'm going on an overnighter or a couple of nights, I sleep in my car. It saves me I figure 100 to 150 a night keeps me from having to carry everything in the hotel, carry everything out, and I can just sleep a few hours and go on. I did that when I went to visit my daughter in Oregon. I spent one night in the car going, 2 nights in the car coming back. I did that when I went to see my son in Maryland. I slept in the car going, I slept in the car coming back. And so it's important to, if you're going to do that, to get a car that the seat slides really far back so you have leg room, and that it reclines really well so you can get comfortable. I had actually rented a Toyota to go see my daughter in Oregon, and it was much more comfortable to sleep in than the Hyundai that I have now. The Toyota that I rented, I was so comfortable. I was just like, this is amazing. I can understand how people live in their cars. This Hyundai, when I sleep in it, I'm like, man, this is just not the same. I don't know why it doesn't recline right, or the way the seat is molded. It's, I wake up and my back hurts sometimes. So yeah, if you're going to use it to camp in, make sure it's comfortable. What kind of RV do I have now? I have a 1996 Eldorado. They don't make them anymore, but it only had 30,000 miles when we bought it. They were just using it to feed workers in the field. They had 2 dinette sets. We have one broke it down and made into a bed. So we got a really good deal. It actually belonged to the mother of one of my classmates, because where I live at, everybody knows everybody. Everybody has known everybody for generations. So I felt really comfortable about who we bought it from as well. Hi, I'm from Ontario, Canada. Hi, I heard you guys have had some cold weather up that way, especially the people in Alberta. My goodness, like -27. I don't know how you do it. I've been decluttering. It really makes you think twice before you buy anything to bring in the house. That's where I'm at, Barb. Exactly where I'm at. We have a Subaru with 350,000 and it's still rolling. That is fantastic. I've owned 3 VW Beetles in my life. One of them went to 282,000 miles before I hit a deer and totaled it. One of them was like 230 some thousand, I think. But yeah, some of those vehicles will go and go, but that is impressive. 350,000 miles. Yeah, snoozing at rest stops. That's what they're there for. And I feel totally comfortable doing that. Everybody else is doing it there. No one has messed with me. No one has approached me. I keep my doors locked. I put my windshield cover up, and I feel totally safe. I park in a well-lit area. I prefer to do trek stops, though. I just feel like there's more activity, there's more people around. So I will do that before I do a rest area, but I have stayed in a rest area a couple of times, especially one time it was snowing. And so, I just pulled in and that's where I slept for the night. I weigh out every day also. I know some of you say you shouldn't, but it works for me. Yeah, same here. I know a lot of people say just don't weigh. It makes you too self-conscious. But if I don't weigh, I am one of those people, I literally can gain 5 pounds overnight. I don't know how. I don't know why. I don't know if it's what I eat. I don't know if it's how I process food, but I literally can gain 5 pounds overnight. Maybe it's water weight. I don't know. But yeah, I have to weigh every single day. Rick, sorry I'm late. That's okay. I understand these are on replay. Excuse me. So you can watch what you missed. Hello from Kingsport, Tennessee. Hello. Hello, Brian. Icy rain yesterday and a real hot wood stove. Yeah, I heard that Great Bend in Kansas just a few days ago was totally iced in. My husband said that there was freezing rain expected. We didn't freeze. where we live at, but Great Bend was iced in. And he said that it had been really foggy, really dreary, and he was to the point, he was just like, I've had enough of this weather. And I think a lot of people are feeling that way. Even when I got down here to Texas, it has rained almost every single day. It's really, really damp. In fact, just a couple days ago, it was like 70, and I was so excited. I was like, it's 70. And I got up and put on my shorts and opened the door, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's cold. And then I felt silly complaining it was cold because it was 70, but it felt like 50 or 40 does in Kansas, and it was 70 down here. I'm hearing that's the humidity that makes it feel colder. But I even told my mother-in-law, I'm like, man, I thought it would be nice at 70 and it was freezing. And she said, I was freezing too. One of the other days it was 74 and it was pleasant, but it wasn't damp. So yeah, it's really different down here. It can fool you if you just look at the temperatures. I'm short so I can lay down in the back of my vehicle. Good for you. Us tall people, that's why I say you really have to make sure that that seat will slide back and it will still lay down. I'm 5'10" and a half, and so I need some leg room, or I will cramp up if my knees can't unbend. How did you get your camper and car down there by yourself? Do you leave your camper there year round? We brought it down the first week of November, and we parked it down here and stayed for a week. And then we went home in the car, and my husband has a car to go anywhere he needs to go. And then I brought my car back. So I will have to have some help getting it back home. We did tow a vehicle when we came down here, but it was more expensive to tow one than it was to just drive it back separately. So we prefer to drive them back separately when we go home. There is a place you can store them down here. Some of the places only charge you like $50 a month to store your RV, but we would like to camp some this summer. So we would like to take it back home and not have it parked down here and not be paying that storage fee. Wilmington, Delaware, chilly but no snow. My son lives in Maryland, and he sent me pictures a few days ago, and he had snow everywhere. And he said, it's snowing again. He was so excited. He said we might actually have a winter because he's used to Kansas winters. And actually, Maryland is pretty temperate. I mean, it's not super cold, not super hot. And a lot of times he's warmer than we are in Kansas, which is crazy. But he actually had snow, so he was excited. Play the replay anyhow. If I don't watch it that way, makes a little off of their time. Oh, creators make a little off of it for their time. I've never done a live before. This is my first time. I wasn't sure my internet at home would even hold. I wasn't sure if it would here. So I'm excited that it's working for everyone. I was really nervous last night. I had trouble sleeping. I thought, oh my gosh, what if it buffers? What if it kicks me off? So this is encouraging that this worked. Oh man, me too. I'm so tired of winter. It's 34 and sloppy now in Kansas City, Missouri, but it beats what it was a week or so ago. Yeah, and you've had it colder where you're at in Kansas than we have. Topeka and Kansas City were like 10 degrees colder. When we were 0 at home, Topeka was -10. I was like, oh my goodness. And we had trouble with things freezing up. We had to run a heater in our bathroom all night long to keep the shower and the toilet and the sink from freezing. So I'm sure our electric bill is going to go up some because we've had to run extra heat through this cold snap. It's been a mild winter here in British Columbia, but gloomy and fog, no sunshine. I'm one of those people, I need to have some sunshine once in a while. The people that live like in Washington where it rains a lot, there's not a lot of sun. I just don't know how you guys do it. My son loves the rain. He said, I'd be fine living in Washington. I love the rain. Well, a little of that goes a long way for me. Everybody down here was so had so much cabin fever. They had came down here, and then they couldn't go outside, and it was cold and rainy, and they were like, "We've had enough of this." And the sad thing is, even though I'm in South Texas, everybody had their plants and stuff covered, but some people either didn't or couldn't, or maybe they weren't here, and some beautiful foliage and beautiful trees and different things froze. I saw a grapefruit tree a couple of days ago, and all the grapefruit, most of it was like black because you could tell it had frozen. So, yeah, they're just not used to getting weather like that down here. It's weird to come down and be this far south and everybody has their plants covered. I thought that stopped long before you got here. Congrats on your first live. Thank you. I'm excited that it worked, Sandra. I hate the rain, and it's calling for rain for the next week or so. I've seen it rain for months here. Yeah, I don't know how people that live in those rainy climates do it. I don't like being wet. I don't like being cold. And, my husband and I have done a lot of work with the homeless. I worked in mental health for many, many years, and we would go out on the streets and meet people and take them food and clothes and socks and, over the counter medicine. And I will never forget, one of the homeless guys told us, it just doesn't pay to get wet. And that's so true, because they would get wet, stay wet, have to wait to dry. It's hard for your socks to dry if you're wearing shoes. And I just always think of that every time it rains, about the people that are out in the rain getting wet. And I agree with that. It just doesn't pay to get wet. I was told by another creator that you get paid if they watch it. I think it's based on watch time hours, but I know it's also on views. I'm not a big creator, so it doesn't really. This is all, this is like a hobby for me. I'm getting to socialize with people while I'm still getting to be retired. I've met people from all over the country that I've made friends with. I never expected it to be so much fun. Many of you email me, send me pictures of your crafts, of your garden. I just love that. It's like I have an endless supply of pen pals now. Sun is coming here tomorrow. I can't wait. Been doing some winter sowing seeds, but ready for garden weather. Yeah, and I brought my plants with me. I have my onions and my celery here. I am taking out like scraps and just putting them in my pots. There's people down here that live all year round that have some tremendous gardens, like huge cabbage. I've never seen cabbage that big. Lettuce, huge carrots. So it's kind of neat to live where you can grow that stuff all year round. That was one of the things I was really looking forward to if we were in Florida, was being able to plant things and grow things all year round. I still do it at home. The plants I brought were from the inside of my house. I've been growing celery and all of that all year long, and peppers too. I didn't bring any peppers with me. I just didn't have space. And many of you have seen my little cat in the videos, the little gray and white one that I have that jumps up on the plant stand behind me all the time. He loves my plants, and he's home with my husband, and he was so upset when I started loading those plants. It was just heartbreaking because that is his thing. So I left him a flower and a pepper and a carrot, so that he still has some plants on his plant stand. But I grow all year round. I have a room that's almost all glass. That is my office area with sliding glass doors and windows. And I just kind of use it as a greenhouse, and I just keep produce going all year round in there. It's raining. Washington at least is not that cold. Yeah, and I was surprised when I went to Oregon, where my daughter had lived at in Oregon. It wasn't that cold. Now, she lived in the little pocket city of Eugene. And Eugene, the whole time I was there, was about 40 degrees and rainy. But when I had gone there, home was like -12. And when I left Eugene, it still was in that little pocket of like rain. And the minute I left Eugene, it was snow all the way home. They just live in a little pocket there where they don't get much. Seattle had even iced over when I was there, but Eugene was still just rainy and 40. I lived in Washington until I was 18. I am affected. Oh, Sandra, press the like button. Yeah, guys, thanks. I don't know how this works, but I'm sure if you press the like button, it helps. I'm affected by the lack of sunshine. Also, my parrots, they definitely get cranky after several days of no sun. That's interesting. I know I brought the big gray fluff cat here with me. He's around here somewhere. And he's really loving being able to have like the screen door open and look out the windows. He watches our neighbors all the time, and the birds keep tweeting and he can hear them, and his little ears perk up like, what's going on? He is really enjoying it, and he's adapting really well. The homeless man had a good lesson. If you get lost in the woods, do not get wet. Yeah. We learned a lot of stuff being able to work with the homeless people. It's a real eye opener, getting to work with some of them. There was people from their 20s all the way up. We took my son with me. When we did that, he was in high school. Some of his friends and parents came, and it was a really good experience for them as well. And then my husband and I've gone out on our own and done that. I'm not, a lot of people are scared of homeless people. And I guess since I've worked with mental health so long, and sometimes a lot of the homeless people maybe were mental health or have a mental health diagnosis, some of the reasons that's why they end up out there. It just doesn't bother me to talk to them. And out of all the work we did with the homeless, no one ever asked us for one thing. The people that you go around and help are not the same people that stand on the corner with the signs. They're just not the same. Sorry, I have allergies, so I would love to try year-round growing. Does that room face south? Yes, it faces south. And most of the stuff I have is from scraps. My celery was from scraps. I grow lettuce that's from scraps. I have some of that growing in the window here. My peppers I just grew from seeds that I harvested from peppers I'd bought, let them dry, and planted them. So all of that was just free stuff that I would just recycle. What is your cat's name? Well, the one that I have with me, that's the big gray one, his name is Fluff. And the one at home that's gray and white is named Yogi. We named him Yogi because he likes to eat yogurt. We fed him yogurt when he was little, and we had rescued him. His mother had just dropped him and he was nowhere around. So yeah, his name is Yogi, and he also likes to do yoga. He has these funny little yoga stretches that he does, so we named him Yogi. You look so different from a couple of months ago. Yeah, I'm sure that the lack of stress makes me look different. I was so stressed. We were so short-staffed, like so many places are. We were working without breaks, without lunches. That's part of the reason I had lost a bunch of weight by the time I quit. And then I just continued to work on losing weight because I already had that ball rolling. But we were overworked, overbooked. I was doing home assessments for the HCBS program. If you don't know what that is, that's home and community-based services, where we do assessments to help people get like housekeepers or people to help them shower and things like that. And they would book us so close together that we didn't have drive time in between. It was like you would get one assessment done, you'd be late to the next one, and the whole day just went like that. And then if you had a little bit of trouble like finding their house or something, or it took them a while to answer the door, you were just late the whole day, and we were so short-staffed. It was a lot. Came home so stressed out because you were just constantly running in that like rushed atmosphere all the time because you were late, you were still late, and then you didn't have time to get your reports in, and it just was a perpetual cycle of stress. Thank you for doing the live stream. Thank you. And yeah, I'm encouraged to try to do this again sometimes since it worked well. I'm learning a lot. I'm enjoying your channel. Well, I'm glad because, my kids encouraged me to start this channel. I'm just an ordinary Kansas farm girl. I grew up in the middle of nowhere with parents from the Depression era. My grandparents lived in the same area. They were from the Dust Bowl. And we lived very simply, and I still do compared to a lot of people. And the people out there are just very simple people. We don't require a lot to be happy. Having our land, having our animals, that's what makes us happy. So in my opinion, do I think most homeless people are homeless because of circumstances? I've worked 15 years with the homeless and with the mental health community. I actually ran a nursing home for 15 years that was considered a level 2 facility that was for people that had severe and persistent mental illness. They were between living like in the state hospital setting or living in a group home. That was the level that I had. And many of them had been homeless before we got them at some point or another. And so a lot of the populations that you see many times are people that are homeless. We had so many stories from people, either they lost contact with their payee, they didn't have a phone, they didn't have money because they didn't have a way to contact their payee to get money. They didn't have contact with people to get their medication, and it was just another bad cycle of a situation. So in my opinion, a lot of the ones that I worked with also had mental health issues, and that's how they ended up homeless. Maybe their family no longer had anything to do with them. Their family didn't know where they were. We even had one gentleman that the paper had done a story on the homeless people and posted a picture of him in the newspaper. And his mother saw that and said, "Oh my gosh, he's still alive," because she didn't even know what had happened to him. So thank you for sharing that. I was homeless. I didn't want to be there. I couldn't have the abuse given to me anymore. So for me, I didn't want to be there and didn't want to be at the house either. That's why I was there. There's so many people now living in their cars, living in RVs, and a lot of it is because of the economy. But there are some people that are doing that by choice to escape the situation that they're in. That wasn't the community that I had the most knowledge about, but I do know there's a lot of people like that out there. I watch videos with some people that live in their vehicles. I'm friends with some of them that have chosen to do that as a way of life to save money. So there's lots of reasons why people end up in the situation that they're in. But the people that we were working with didn't have a car either. They just were staying like in the parks. They were staying like by the public library even. It had like little partitions in the stone, and at night they would all choose their little partition and get between it even. And they stayed to themselves, didn't approach anybody. So yeah, there's all kinds of stories out there about how some of those things happen. What do I do? What do I do regarding my animals while traveling? We have let our animals. We don't have that many animals anymore, I guess is what I want to say. I had goats for like 25 years. The oldest finally passed away a couple of years back, and we chose not to replace any more goats. I had 2 donkeys. One has passed away from old age. This one is also old. When he passes, we won't replace the donkeys. We do have outdoor cats. My husband is still there taking care of the cats. My nephew is available if needed. He's the one that brings my donkey like a big round bale, and then he has access to 2 ponds to drink out of, and he has like 5 acres that he can store cats. We do have self feeders and self waterers. So if my husband comes down, they'll be okay for while he's gone as well. But yeah, we made the choice quite a few years ago when we decided to want to retire at some point that we weren't going to keep replacing the farm animals, which were basically pets at this point anyway. And when they passed away from old age, we just weren't going to replace them. It's kind of weird being without goats. We've had goats for so long, but I do miss having goats. They're wonderful pets, but they can be pretty ornery, and they can be little Houdinis when it comes to getting in and out of pens. I'm really enjoying your channel. Thank you. Enjoying the live and the longer time with you. Thank you. I'm enjoying being with you guys too, Veronica. It's very nice to have so much interaction with everybody and see all of your comments. Good morning from California. I have my 3-year-old grandson coming soon. Can't stay on long. Will this be on replay? As far as I know, it will. This is my first one, so I think once I'm done, I think it goes on replay. So yeah. What do you do in your spare time where you are now? I am enjoying reading again. I haven't had the time to read in so long. And my husband and I will always pack books to take when we camp to read. But I've already finished one book that I had been working on for a long time during all of our camping trips. I'm already almost done with the second one. And then we do have Amazon Prime. And I didn't know this until probably 6 months ago, but every month you can download a free book from a selection that they give you as part of your Prime membership. So I've been downloading those books. I'm an old-fashioned person where I like to hold a book, but I've been downloading those to an iPad that my kids got me for Christmas one year. And when I got ready to download more yesterday for my free month, it told me that I was at my max. So that I had to return some of the digital books before I could get others, even though they're free. So there must be a certain limit on how many you can download. So once I finish this book, I'm going to start trying to read some of those that I've downloaded on Amazon for free. I also try to take a walk every day. There's a pool here that I haven't got out to or laid by. I would like to do that. But since I live in the country and I'm such a simple person, I enjoy just sitting outside reading a book, taking a walk. I work a lot of times on my YouTube videos and my content. And I've gone to a few of the free events that they have. They have a carry-in dinner this Sunday. I'm going to go to that. So yeah, just that little bit of stuff is kind of what I've been doing. I'm really enjoying it. You've really motivated me to cut even more corners without hurting my health. This month I've managed to put aside 200. Good job. Good job with that. My aunt used to have a goat. Yeah, my oldest son wanted a goat. And so we went and got some goats from one of the pumpkin patches that they were selling for like $50 a goat. And I think we ended up with 3 at the time. He graduated in 2002. And I think we got them when he was like a sophomore, maybe. So I've had goats for like 22 years by the time the last one passed away. So yeah, they became a big part of our life, and they were my dogs. I mean, I could let them out in the yard. They'd lay by the door and wait for me to come out. They'd follow me to the ponds. If they got too far away and they were not within yelling distance, they knew they were in trouble, and then they'd have to stay in their pen for a couple of days. And then when I let them out the next time, they knew, hey, I better stay within yelling distance or I get in trouble. So they're very trainable. We really enjoyed them. Good to know about Prime and the books. I have Prime, and it's one of my few streaming things I have. Yeah, we have Prime and we have Hulu. And I have Hulu so I can watch General Hospital. And my son also shares Hulu with me, but he uses it for the Spotify. There's like I didn't know Hulu came free with like the Spotify membership. And once we found that out, so I use Hulu, he uses Hulu, and he uses Spotify, and it's all on that same membership. And I didn't know about that until on Prime either until a few months ago. So I don't know if they allow you to have like 12 books or something like that downloaded before you have to start swapping them out. But I'm going to start trying to read those. I'm not sure how I'm going to like the digital thing. I'm going to have to learn how to bookmark it. I don't know how to do any of that stuff, but that's what I plan on doing next. So I always loved reading growing up. That's something I did in the summers. And so I can go back to doing some of those things that I enjoy. I also brought my sewing. I like to embroidery. So I brought my little sewing kit and some of that, sorted out all of my embroidery thread that matched the half-done projects that have been sitting there for years. And I'm going to be doing that too. Are there activities within the RV park? Yes, there's tons of them. And I have a video coming up where I'm going to do a tour of the park and talk about some of that. But they have tons of I mean, there is stuff going on all the time. But you have to pay to go to some of it. And, I'm frugal. And plus, I'm used to living in the country. So me paying to go to some of these little classes and things that they have and some of the little craft things they do. I'm not crafty. I don't golf. I brought my yoga stuff. I can do my yoga on my own. I do have that stuff, and there's a room to do that. But as far as like paying for some of those events, I'll probably partake in the free ones, but I really doubt I will partake in the ones that cost. But there's endless number of activities here. There's all kinds of like pickleball and shuffleboard, and I mean, just all kinds of stuff. I don't even know how to play either one of those things, but yes, there's lots. Well, you guys, I've kept you on here for an hour. I have really enjoyed the time and the interaction with you guys. We should try this again. I messed up when I was talking to my husband the other night on the phone. I was finishing up a video. We were chatting. I thought I saved it, but I published it instead. And so it came out like Thursday night at midnight. I totally flubbed that up. It was supposed to be like a Saturday video. And I woke up the next morning, saw I had all these views, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I must have published it. And I thought, you know what? This is a great opportunity for me to do a live in the place of that Saturday video and see if it works. So it all worked out. It all worked out. So, but thank you guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been wonderful to talk to all of you, and let's do it again soon. And feel free to email me anytime. It's in my description box on all my videos. Feel free to email me, and I'll try to answer you as soon as I can. And have a great day, everybody.